Chapter 4 is going to give us an answer to a question that we end off chapter 3 with. How do we understand that we are tangible, independent existence, and yet at this very moment we are solely existing by the Word of God that brings us into being in a manner that we are within our source, within God, not separate from Him, like the ray of light within the sun is not separate. Only when it emerges from the sun is the ray of light separate from the sun. But as it is found in its source, it's part of its source. It's not separate from its source. Well, we're in our source within God right now as He animates us, something from nothing. And yet, at the same time, I'm feeling my independence. I'm feeling like I am. I don't feel like I am within God and only a part of God. We're trying to understand that intellectually as we face the challenge over here to understand the physics of the universe. Absolute physics, pure physics is what we're discussing over here. To understand that in one instance, I am within my source, within God, and in the same instance, I'm feeling my independence of God, that I'm not within Him. Such an independence do we feel that we can even deny Him. That's a different story, but we need to understand, and this is what Chabad is. Chabad is Chachma Bina V'das. It's about intellectual grasp of the idea as best as we can, intellectual grasp with our intelligence of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge on how is it possible this paradox. We are within our source and within God, and yet we don't feel that, and we feel our independence. So, to answer that, we begin chapter 4. The Alter Rebbe says, as it's written in Tehillim, King David says, for a son and a shield is Havaya Elokim, the name of the Tetragrammaton, God's name, Havaya, and Elokim. Let me just... Second. Okay. So, what does that mean? It means the sun has a shield that protects us from the sun. What that shield means, I don't know if it's called an ozone layer or not. But that's, it's a metaphor over here. So it's to protect us, that we should be able to bear the heat of the sun. And as our sages tell us, that when Mashiach will come, that shield will actually be taken away. And again, what that means, I don't want to say it's the ozone layer, but if you want to use that as a metaphor, fine. And as a result of the shield being taken away, the sun will then become much more powerful, both for healing and destructive purposes. It will heal the righteous and bring justice to the wicked. Which is an interesting idea, right? But the point over here is that we're talking about the sun and the shield, right? The illumination and the protective covering that shields and holds back, which that refers to two names of God, right? That's a metaphor for two names of God. This is the name of God, Yud-K, Vav-K. This is the Tetragrammaton, Yud and a He and a Vav and a He, which is the sun, metaphorically, right? And Elohim is the shield, the name of Elohim of God. So, Havaya, which actually means to be, it comes from the Mahav, to bring into being, because it is the name, like the sun, right? It is the source to bring everything into being. How? Ex nihilo, something from nothing. And the Yud in God's name, so you have here the word hoveh, which means present tense, or to bring into presence, to bring into being, in other words. Present means being. That's hoveh. And the Yud in front of it means, when you put a Yud in front of the word, grammatically means constant. It brings that word into constance. In other words, God's bringing into being constantly. That's what that name represents. Right? The source of creation. Bringing into ex nihilo every moment. Right? In other words, God did not create the world in the 6 days and then, it's sort of going on its own. He's constantly bringing it into creation. Right? As we've explained previously, not like a mug, that the one who fashioned this mug, this is my Rambam mug. Thank you. A gift. That it was fashioned, and once it's fashioned, it exists on its own, independent of the fashioner, as we learned in chapter 2. No. God didn't create it in the 6 days and left it on its own. He is constantly being mahave, bringing into hove, bringing into presence all beings, constantly with the yud. That's what it means before, right? And that's very powerful, like the sun. And therefore, what does it need? It needs a shield. That's the name of Elohim. The refrain, the holding back, the shield that's necessary in order, as we'll learn more, to hold back the light, to ultimately that we perceive ourselves as independent beings. And this is what we say in our daily prayers in the Amidah. Hagadol Hagibar. That God is Hagadol, He's great, and He's mighty. What's great? What's great is kindness. That's the attribute of kindness. That's great. Greatness. He's giving. That God's giving is giving life, spreading forth a life force into all worlds, into all created beings without end, without limitations. Chesed is the idea of limitless, boundless giving. So that's in the human dimension, just, the divine, limitless, God creating, gratuitous kindness, whether you're worthy or not, God is creating out of nothingness, each and every one of us. That's the attribute of chesed. That's called gidula, greatness. Causing life to come into existence every moment. As his nature is nature of benevolence is to do good. Unlimited creations of unlimited worlds comes from God's kindness. That's Gedula. What does it mean, Gvura, that we brought up? Hagadol v'Hagibor, the mighty one. Tomorrow's class, we'll have more understanding. Two names of God that bring out two different ideas about God. Shem Havaya, Shem Elohim, the name of Tetragrammaton, of Havaya, bringing everything into being. And then that shield, that protective shield of that light of God, which is named Elohim. Just beginning the thought, he will elaborate upon it step by step. What is a lesson that we take out from today, the take home? Hagadol. Greatness. Greatness is God's desire to give, which he imbues us with the power of chesed in our soul, being created a part of God in us. So therefore, our greatness is in the act of giving. And sometimes we have to refrain, we have to hold back. But greatness is in giving. We'll see what it means to hold back. We'll understand a little more on that. But let's concentrate because we didn't get into that yet. That'll be tomorrow's class. So greatness is the capacity to give without boundaries, whether a person's worthy or not worthy. And that's what God does. He's creating us something from nothing every moment. Whether we're worthy, not worthy, he's creating us. Deserve it, not deserve it. He's creating us. So where's God's kindness? Always. Constantly. Never stopping. Because he's constantly creating me. Something from nothing. So think about it for a moment, folks. Get stuck up and we get, for dust. Get like whatever, hey, this didn't happen. This didn't work out for me. This is, not so wonderful. This person, did this to me, and this happened to me. And what are you talking about? What do you mean? You don't see the kindness? Don't look any further than the fact that God's creating you this very moment, deservedly or not deservedly. It's coming out of Gedula, his greatness, which is his kindness. Creating me this very moment. If we focus on that for a moment, whoa, kind of gives context to everything. We don't feel that way. We feel, what do you mean? I got life, I thanked my parents a long time ago, It's like the husband gets married and tells his wife, on their wedding day, I love you, I love you. And he says, he expresses his love. After 10 years marriage, she's very upset, says, I don't hear any love from you. He says, listen, I told you the day we got married that I love you. Nothing's changed. So what do I got to tell you? Again? It's all, nothing's changed. So, what do I have to say? Thank you. You gave me life a long time ago. Parents. Oh, I got to thank God for life? What do you mean? Been around for a while. Oh, God gave me something. I'll say thank you. He gave me. I got a wonderful gift that I didn't expect. So now I'll say thank you for that. That's a mistake. I'll say thank you for life itself. Because God's giving it to me right now out of his gratuitous kindness. Sense that, feel that, recognize that. Got to meditate on that. And that will put things in a very different perspective. Very different. Very healthy. Okay, let's deal with some questions. Jane, is there a way that we can do, whether intentional or not, to separate us from our source? Well, that, got to do what God wants us from us, and then we're not separated from our source, right? I'm not. I mean, being aware of this, that we're not separate from God. Right? Now we're trying to understand how is it that we feel differently than what, is from our perspective and how it is from God's perspective. So that's what we're learning now. But, when we understand and we appreciate from God's perspective and try to incorporate that reality and sense that truth within us, then that will help us not to be separated. Joseph, how does God give us the ability to make choices? Well, we'll have a clear understanding when we get this further developed. Okay? Thank you for the question. I'm going to wait till we further develop it. Davida, is our greatness in chesed? Yeah, just like God's is. Clubhouse room is closed. Why is it closed?
It's got a lock on it.
Oh.
Yeah. It says Clubhouse members unless it's not open to everyone.
You know what? I had a problem today. Is that why people are going off now, or they were here, so then it shouldn't be?
I'm not sure. I just can tell that if they do leave, I don't.
No, they got in, so then.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had problems today. I don't know why. Try to figure it out. Oh, I think I need to update. There was an update and I didn't have time to update it. Uh, Malkiel. Malka or Malkiel? Please share with us. Okay. Okay, we'll have to fix that on Clubhouse. Any questions? More questions? I think. All right. We're going to go to Rambam from here. Please join us for Rambam. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zich in Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day, a good vach,